First step in continuing to build our schedule using Proj is to enter the hours in the work column. I would take this from your work breakout structure. For the purposes of this exercise, let's work with your worst case estimate. So research sources, I'm going to put in 1 hour, select 3, 1 hour, get opinions, 2 hours, compare reviews, 1 hour. Now I will create some dependencies so you can see how moving one item will affect another. First I want to zoom in because I'm working in hours and over a couple days rather than days and weeks. So I'll click the plus sign at the top there, and then I'll scroll to find my items which are there, and it's opening things up a bit to make it easier to see. So if I just click on that first Gantt item and drag that little link line to the second one, you see it draws an arrow to the second one and offsets it by the amount of time that the first item selecting research sources takes. So now if I go in and change the start time of research sources, let's say to another date, 25th, you'll notice that the second item that's dependent on research sources, select 3, moved automatically with it, maintaining that dependency, meaning that I cannot select 3 menus before I research the sources. You notice that in my spreadsheet of my items for the Gantt chart, I've actually gone ahead and added put in all the durations, worst case durations for my task. What happens if up here when selecting 3 menus, I want to start that on a different day than the 25th of May? Well, if I change this to 5/26, you notice that on my Gantt chart it moved the start time out for selecting 3 menus to the next day, the 26th, and kept the researching sources where it was. So I'll add another dependency, which is to get opinions, and I can't get opinions of the menus from other stakeholders until after I select 3 menus that I want to provide as solutions. So I will click on the Gantt chart for select 3 menus, drag my dependency line to the get opinions, and then you see, if I scroll right, that it's automatically put get opinions after select 3 menus, and automatically puts it on happening after on the next day. The black line at the top shows the span of time for the whole milestone under recipe selection. I just noticed that my compare reviews item, number 5 on my list, I didn't adjust the time to be correct. I'll take about an hour, worst case, to compare the reviews. So one way of adjusting this, instead of doing it in the spreadsheet for the items, I can just click and drag on the right bar and make it roughly the length of time I think it's going to take, and there it adjusts to 1 hour. This is something that I want to do after I select 3 menus, but it's not dependent on getting opinions. So I'm going to scroll right here just a little bit. So I'm going to drag a dependency line to this one to compare reviews, and then you see what happened is that it actually created a double dependency off one task. Select 3 matches, select 3 menus, I'll get opinions and compare the reviews of them, and those essentially can happen simultaneously. Now I'll create a dependency to an item in the next milestone, which is ingredients, because I really can't determine and get my ingredients until I know what menu I'm going to use. So I can actually stretch a dependency line across a milestone, and I'll just drag this to make list, and then you see it puts out the make list task to beyond compare reviews, because that's when I will I'll do that. But notice now that this item here, getting opinions taking 2 hours, is taking longer, so really the dependency is in the wrong place. So if I drag this one to this one, now I have a double dependency on one item being dependent on two things happening. Well, another way to approach the chart rather than drag dependencies all over the place to move things along is to kind of using the start date as a way to move things on the approximate day you think things are going to occur. And I've done that with peel apples in terms of preparing the filling. Peel apples, mix sugar, and put aside. You see that the 3 are now I put out on May 25th. And I'll do that with the assemble rolled dough and put the crust in the tin and pour in the filling. One thing I've done, because one of the limitations of this particular application is that I can't magnify the Gantt chart enough to see small time slots in order to pick and drag dependencies. So I've increased anything that was below an hour in terms of duration to 1 hour. In any case, right here we'll roll out dough. I'll just select a little calendar thing. I'll put out to the 26th, because that's the day I plan to actually put everything together. I think plan to put everything together, and there you can see that it's moved the assemble items out to the 26th. I actually want to also do the filling on the same day, because I really can't. So I'm actually going to drag it to 26 as well. Now I've added more dependencies, and you can see that it's starting to get complicated. To follow along a little easier, I'm just going to drag my task name column to the left, to the right, so it's closer to the Gantt items. And you can see I pour and put on top is right here. That it's dependent on two things happening. One, that the dough, the filling getting completed and put aside, and then also on the dough getting rolled out and putting the crust in the tin. If I double click on this item here, you can see that the task information detail that there's predecessors showing that there's 2 items that have to happen before I can pour the filling and put on top crust, and that is I have to put the crust in the tin, and I have to finish the task of making the filling and putting it aside. So I finished my entering all my items and hours for my Gantt chart and dates, all the way from selecting a recipe down to finally baking it at the bottom of the list and serving it, which I'm going to do on a different day, on the 27th of May. But how do I see the totals for everything? I've got totals for each milestone. I'd like to see how long the total project is going to take and the total duration. So what I do is I select the first column. On my menu, I do insert new task resource. I call that, I can call this just apple pie. And I want to make everything a sub-item to apple pie. So I select everything besides apple pie. I hit my indent right arrow, and it puts everything as a sub-item under apple pie, and we can see that my total hours are 25. Remember, this is exaggerated because I'd made all my tasks in that 1 hour, so I could see them easily on the chart. My start date is May 24th, my end date is May 27th.